Uh, okay, data is not an issue these days. We already knew it. We knew it that we will have much higher intensity of this monsoon as early as February. And then I think in March or April, the Met Office also confirmed it. And since then, we are seeing an earlier onset of monsoon followed by heavy showers, heavy rains. And as far as the early warning is concerned in such a situation is that we should be prepared everywhere as long as these spells are in the sky. So we know when those spells are coming, but we cannot predict, even if we have all the data in the world, we cannot precisely predict how much rain a particular cloud on a particular location in a particular catchment that cloud is going to bring. This is very difficult to predict. But as long as we know that the cloud is big, it can be discharging its load anywhere within the area. So we should be prepared. And preparation for that preparation, we don't need any data, at least from India. Okay, again, when these systems are coming in through the satellite data, we don't have to depend on India. Like for Lahore, which is in the watershed of Ravi River, we would know how much rainfall has occurred in the catchment of Ravi River, whether India tells us or not. We would know that it has occurred, and then there's a lag time, a few tens of to about 100 or more kilometers. That's the time the wave would take to reach Lahore. So if that thing has happened, we should have been prepared. And if we are not prepared, then even if India tells us that we are releasing that water, then we can't do much because if we are not prepared, we are not prepared, whether somebody tells us or not. So that is the part which is coming from in the Ravi River. The other one is Satluj River. The Satluj River, it is the confluence of Satluj and Beas is just outside of Pakistan in India. It is not too far away. But again, the heavy clouds are in the catchment areas of this Bhakra Dam and Poong Dam. And whenever there is a cloud, heavy rainfall in those areas, we should have sufficient warnings in terms of maybe a day and a half to at least 12 hours before we would know that the flood is coming. Whether they share data with us or not, we have the means to know it because of the satellite information and all those things. So again, if we are prepared, we can give the early warning, and people can actually move out of the way. Now, people are interested in saving themselves. Nobody is not interested in saving him or himself, herself, or their family. So everybody is interested to know. And one of the biggest examples of early warning is what happened in Ghizar village in Gilgit-Baltistan, where there were those shepherds who found out that big wave is coming, and at least no life was lost in the village. Although the village was destroyed, but no life was lost because of the early warning. So involvement of community. This is a big lesson from Ghizar. Involvement of community is extremely important, whether NDMA knows it or not. If the community knows it, the community is prepared to move to save their lives. I think a lot of lives could be saved. And then the damage, which is property damage, now you can't do much about it right now because of the Indus Water Treaty allowing India to shut down those rivers, the construction of climate incompatible infrastructure like large dams and flood levees, which took place. Because of that, it has eliminated the more frequent low flood events. But because of that, engineered infrastructure has a certain capacity, a certain limit. When a cloud would exceed that limit, when a flow would exceed that limit, then the damage is way more than if that infrastructure was not there. So the floods are being exacerbated because of the incompatible infrastructure which is built both in India and Pakistan along these rivers. the notion of controlling the rivers. We should now know that controlling the rivers is not possible, and it all boils down to adaptation. And now after these floods, I think after the relief and recovery of the affected families, our first priority should be to actually put some regulations in place where people actually leave the room for the river and get out of the way, because these events are now expected to be more frequent with the climate change. Okay, first of all, both silt and water is like gold. If they leave it for us, we should be ready to receive it. So, because if they're releasing water that they can hold, they are losing it. Okay. If they are releasing the silt, that they are not using it, it's just choking their dams. But if they release it, it is very good for our river system. It is very good for Indus Delta. So what we should do, we should be all the times prepared to receive it, whether they leave it all at once or they leave it without a warning. Or whether they give us a warning or they don't give us a warning. Again, the formula is simple: room for the river. If your river is open to receive it, then you can. All the structures that they have upstream, especially in case of Chenab River, the structures that they have upstream are smaller than the first structure that we have on the downstream, which is our Marala Barrage. So Marala Barrage can handle, it is right now handling about more than 900,000 cusics. Right now it is handling. And their structures, they can, at maximum, they can release I think their Salal Dam, it has the largest weir. It can release 800,000. And by the time it reaches Marala Barrage, it is attenuated and it cannot be more than, like, their engineered flow cannot be more than, say, 600,000 cusics. So we are in a good shape. Their engineered structures cannot overtop our engineered structures. If the flow is more, it is not because of their engineered structures, but it is because of the natural deluge that has taken place. So whether they use their engineered structures or not, they cannot do it. If in case of low flow, no rainfall, and they release such kind of a flow, then we should welcome it, because we should be prepared for it, as I said earlier. And secondly, if they release such kind of water in low flow, what they are doing? They are losing their own water, because when the flow is low, rainfall is low, they also need that water. And then if they release it and empty their reservoirs just in order to sort of create trouble for us, they lose that water. They can't create the electricity, because those dams are for power generation. So, I mean, they can't put us in trouble without troubling them. And actually, if we are prepared, we would not be troubled. We would rather be benefiting from it. So let's benefit and let's wait for them to do it. But be prepared. I don't think so. Indus Water Treaty can do much about this climate change things and this kind of disasters, because it was never talked in the treaty. There is no clause that actually deals with the treaty, except that there is a mechanism of issuing early warning if a structure has to release suddenly release water. And even when the treaty was signed, there were no satellites in the sky which could actually tell us what's going on. So, but the situation has changed a lot since then. I mean, technology has changed. We can have the satellite data, some experts who can analyze that data, some early warning systems which are connected to that data, algorithms built based on mathematical equations and AI and everything. So we are in a good position to actually handle it. And I would actually suggest that both the countries, I mean, they should actually get out of this political prejudice. The whole saga of Indus Water Treaty and this division of water and that everything, it began because of political prejudice when India shut down Pakistan's canals and started a water war which continues to date. And billions of dollars have been spent on both sides. building infrastructure, starving their people from the right of clean water and education, for example, and that money has gone into it, and the whole this the conflict of water, it started at a time when none of the two countries was facing any water crisis. So this is a very strange treaty. It's totally political prejudice. I think it takes a very strong leadership on both sides to actually now come down to terms with each other. Now, India should accept that Pakistan is a separate country. I mean, most Indians do, but some of the people at the helm of affairs in their current political setup, they still think that they can undo Pakistan, or they can feel happier by just creating this kind of trouble for Pakistan. They are doing politics on it. Indian population is not gaining anything out of it, except that they are being deprived of the taxpayers' money, which should have gone into improving their lifestyle and their health and hygiene issues, and it's going into defense and these projects which are completely useless. I don't think so. I don't think so, because if there is a set algorithm which is based on data received from India, on which algorithm is then based our opening and closing of gates, then that algorithm could be modified based on satellite data. And it won't make much difference to us whether they are releasing water or not releasing water. Because if there's more water in the river, it doesn't impact our canals. And if there's less water released by them, then we already have the link canals which are releasing water in the from our barrages into our canals. So I don't think so. It's going to have any huge impact on Pakistan's irrigation system and the water management which is going on. Okay, right now the manifestation of climate change that we are seeing is more water in the rivers, heavier clouds, and urban flooding and stuff like that. The other manifestation, the other extreme that we can see is longer periods of dry spells and lesser water in the rivers. And for both of these things, we can have one synergistic solution, which is called room for the river. Open up your rivers to receive all the water it can in its bed, get away from it, improve the river corridor with wetlands and forests and other vegetation, introduce and reintroduce wildlife, which includes animals and plants, and let the river corridor take care of itself. This would actually break the flood velocities, let the silt and eroded material settle within the floodplains. It would regenerate our soils. It will recharge the aquifers. And when there is less flood, it is the same recharged water that we should get connected to, and we can use it in the dry spells. And we did a very comprehensive study a couple of years ago, and we found out that the potential of our riverine aquifers, that is the aquifer which is right under the riverbed and active floodplains, which should be opened up, it can hold more than 500 million acre-feet of water. And like Tarbela is 6 million acre-feet. So, I mean, you can imagine how big this reservoir is. And if we adapt ourselves to store water in it and then connect our water use with this aquifer, then even if there is a 10 years drought, nothing will happen to us. And in Indus, there can't be a 10 years drought. It could only be a season of low rainfall. Indus has never seen drought, complete shutdown of monsoon in the living memory of human beings. So Indus is an amazing river. And all we have to do is adapt ourselves with the river.